Pretty Little Liars, the television series, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description. Welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And we have 2 new episodes of Pretty Little Liars from season 6 for you.
We do. They're not the best.
No, they're kind of boring.
Yeah.
They're not my favorite.
It's, the show's like, okay, what if Leslie is, like, guilty somehow? And we're like, Leslie's not a character. And they're like, well, you caught us.
Yeah, Leslie's not a character.
We're going to find it. Yeah. We're going to find out everything about Leslie in an episode that she's not in.
The only things I remember from these episodes from before, like as we're rewatching them, was Aria's little like date thing with the photography boy.
Yes, Clark.
Mm-hmm.
Should date Clark.
He was very important to me. That's why I called him the little photography boy, and I remembered his name.
Pum. And I was not off base. That girl goes swimming.
I know.
What does that mean?
I was wrong. I was like, I don't think she kisses her.
definitely does. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Poor Emily can't just have a friend.
No. I mean, she has the other 3 and that's it.
That's her quota.
That's about everybody else though. You know, if they're going to introduce someone, it's not like, well, I just have a friend. It's like they either are interested in them, in the case of Lucas, or they are interested in that's
someone we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah. But Lucas was like the first that came to mind, where it's just like, we're just friends, Lucas. And he's like, I am dying because of this. Not like in the books.
No, he takes her in a hot air balloon.
Mm-hmm. And they get romantic. And then she forgets all about it when she gets run over by Mona.
That is sad.
Yeah. Hey, Mona's back this week.
Mona is back.
Mona heads go off. I was thinking about it. I'm like, there's not a character that is more engineered to be like my favorite on the show than it's like, one, used to be a villain. Check. Nebulously like aligned with our protagonist. Check. Side character. Check. I always loved the characters where it's just like, I could use some more screen time with them, and they're just not important enough for that.
You also love a morally gray, really smart, dark-haired or bleach white blonde side character. I feel like they tend to be more dark-haired than bleach white blonde, but I feel like there's a couple that are like, bright-haired.
I'm trying to think of the bright-haired version.
Wouldn't that be like Riku?
Oh, yeah, but he's not my favorite. But I guess Axel does have red hair.
You got to have your hair.
Yeah. Vegeta has brown hair, black hair.
There you go.
So there you go. Two anime related ones for you. But all right, are we ready to go then?
I am ready for you to take us on this journey.
Right. Season 6, episode 5, episode 125. She's no angel. Spencer walks through an abandoned hallway. Oh, right. Maybe we should, after this, we can kind of discuss maybe the background on this real quick and just get it out of the way. Maybe the most interesting thing, I guess, in the episode. She walks through an abandoned hallway. It kind of looks like a hospital. Which we come back around to. There's a wet girl wearing a white gown stumbles out. Spencer goes to follow, and the girl starts like modern dancing around a room that's just like a room filled with like standing bathtubs. Spencer then has flashbacks to her time in the dollhouse. She suddenly, the girl in the white gown suddenly disappears, and Spencer notices 2 slide-on flip-flops that are labeled C. De Laurentiis. We see a shadow start to walk down the hallway. So this was Maddie Ziegler from Dance Moms.
Yes.
In like a weird...
It was a very long dance number for a television show, in my opinion. And I was a dancer, and I love dance. I think, it's fun, but it is what it is. So Maddie was represented by the same agent or agency as one of the executive producers, Oliver Goldstick, who co-wrote the episode with Maya Goldsmith.
Fun with names.
Yeah, I was like,
look at that.
So at the end of this, towards the last season, end of season 5, the agency had called and been like, hey, can you get her in an episode? Because she loves the show. And he was like, be patient. And then he got her in this one.
Yeah. which is very funny.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, sure. We'll just put her in.
So this was right after like the Sia Chandelier video era. So like she's getting like, I mean, she's already Dance Moms famous, and now she's getting like.
She was the main dancer in that.
Yeah, she was the dancer in Chandelier. There's only one dancer in Chandelier.
Well, shows what I know.
I mean,
isn't Shia LaBeouf in that too?
Yeah, but you're not going to look at that and be like, oh, that was a professional dancer.
Fair enough.
Which one was the little girl?
I just also realized, oh God, was Shia LaBeouf's dancing around in this episode?
Yeah, I think he's in Chandelier, or is he in? He's in a music video with her. There's a video of them dancing together too, regardless of what it is. I feel like he was in a cage. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah. So she was brought in, and they had Travis Wall, who is a pretty famous choreographer, especially if you watch So You Think You Can Dance at this time. He was one of the choreographers. You saw a lot of his work on there. And he choreographed this for Maddie, and they filmed it pretty quickly. It was a pretty rushed thing. This is before her very last season of Dance Moms, so she still had one more season of Dance Moms after this. But yeah, they were like, oh, can you do this? So she got a spot by being connected, and
so they were just like, oh, we'll just work this into the frame of the episode. You sent me. Did you send me the other? You sent me the other article where it's like an interview with her, and it's just like, I guess around the time that was just like asking about Dance Moms, and she's like, don't watch it.
Yeah, she's like, watch Pretty Little Liars, don't watch Dance Moms, which absolutely makes sense when you think about this. Is some like teenage preteen girl who her entire childhood has been documented on television, obviously highly edited because it's reality television, and this is not early reality television, but a different type than I think what we have now. There's not as many reality television shows with children now. I don't feel like. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just like I don't see them.
Yeah.
But like, because this was like you Dance Moms, and you have Toddlers and Tiaras. You had the Gypsy Weddings one. Like there were lots of like child focused or really young adult focused reality.
All
TV.
on TLC too.
Dance Moms was on Lifetime.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Got it.
You didn't know? I'm just kidding. But yes, so Maddie was on Dance Moms, and I'm sure it's got to be awkward to have your childhood documented like that. Yeah. And I know she was treated better than the other girls on the show by and by Abby, but that's still a different kind of trauma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
no one trauma is less than the other, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean they are, but in that case, I don't know how that would shake out for her.
Do we assume people know what Dance Moms is?
I assume anyone who's watched Pretty Little Liars probably knows what Dance Moms is. Okay. I don't think there's a Venn diagram of fans, but I think if you existed watching television at that time. Right. For those of you who don't know, Dance Moms is a reality television show in which it started as like these little girls who dance at this one dance studio ran by this woman named Abby Lee Miller, who just screams a lot and says huge like Trump. And she runs this dance studio, and then it's like the drama with the moms and the girls and the dance teacher. And of course, it's a reality television show, and it's a reality television show of that particular time, which was like, I don't know, 2010, 2007, somewhere in there. I know it was on
the 2010s.
Yeah, I think it came on like towards the end of my high school career, so that would make sense. And did I watch it? Yes. Do I listen to a podcast about it? Yes. From two of my personal favorite moms from the show, Christy and Kelly. But is it problematic? Absolutely. This should not have ever happened. It's an abomination, honestly. Like, it's so mean. It's a very mean-spirited television show.
The Abby Lee Miller on there is just a nightmare.
And she's like that still. So, if you have the nostalgia for it, highly recommend. If you don't, I wouldn't recommend watching it. It's kind of depressing.
You can watch the one clip, which I've not seen. I've only seen the clip. I haven't seen this in context, where Abby's in a wheelchair for whatever reasons, motorized wheelchair.
Oh, that was way after I stopped watching. Yeah. I only watched the first 4 seasons.
And so one of the she's on her phone, and one of the moms is like trying to dish back into her and being like, "Get off your phone!" Like during the dance competition. She just wheels out and just takes off down the street. So the camera crew is running after her as she's just taking off down the street. So you can look up that clip, and that one's just fun.
Yes. And the early season, I think like the first season is kind of fun because it's like still they were doing cute things. They focused a little bit more on like you could tell it was partially fabricated and it just it felt funner and more fluffy. Yeah. Whereas like towards the end, you're just like, this woman is mean. And like when like especially towards the end of when Chloe and Brooke and Paige leave specifically, like those all what builds to those, you're like, good God. Like, could you imagine being in that scenario? So it's not good.
Yeah. But there's your dance moms moment.
But like, do I watch it?
Yeah. Again, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's why if, at the beginning of the episode we have this extended thing. The other thing is like it kind of reminds me of like a David Lynch scene. But I
think that's a little generous because I think Lynch would have.
It's like trying to ape it.
Lynch wouldn't have had Travis Wall choreograph a like beautiful like that kind of scene. I think Lynch would have gone for like who can make the creepiest, most uncanny dance for me.
Yeah, that was what I had the thought watching it. I'm like, she's too good.
Yes, and it's too pretty.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to dance ugly on purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think it was choreographed to look particularly ugly, but yeah.
No, it just seemed, I mean, to my untrained eye, like just like modern dance number.
Yeah, minus the running up to Spencer and running away.
Now, if you added strobes in there, then it would have been a David Lynch scene.
And maybe like a bird crying or an owl hooting or something.
Overlay of an owl, yeah.
Yeah. Some man chanting in the background.
Oh God!
In the corner with a drum,
dancing like this.
God, they don't do that. It's so scary.
All right, back to the episode. Spencer talks to Aria on the phone about her dream, wondering what it meant. Spencer asks if she remembers a room that looks like the one in her dream, but Aria's like, I don't want to talk about us. Spencer eats her pot cookie. Turns out Spencer is being made valedictorian at school, and the school wants her to speak at graduation, but she doesn't want to do that. She thinks her mom paid for it to happen, so she doesn't want to accept this. She hears her mom come home and goes to leave. Anna comes downstairs and finds Mona in her kitchen. Mona got back late last night. Mona's also wearing like trying to like
she looks like Jenna. Yeah. I wrote down Mona's in her Jenna attire.
She's wearing big sunglasses, like she's trying to keep a low profile. She's absolutely in her Jenna era. Mona is scared about Allie. This is also very Jenna coded. Mona is scared about Allison wanting revenge for her going to jail. Mona wants to go to the police station to come clean on faking being dead and like, you know, just kind of get all that stuff over with. Anna says it's not a crime. And Mona's like, yes, it is. Anna says everyone is looking for A. They won't have to worry about you. Mona's pessimistic about all the state of things. Anna says Allison is too embarrassed to leave her house nowadays except for church, which Mona's like, what? She going to church? And then Mona asks for a ride to the precinct. Allison sits in her home and hears police talking shit on her outside. Emily comes back from a shower and overhears Sara talking to her mom on the phone and having an argument. Sounds like Sara then says that it sounds like her mom is drunk. Turns out Sarah's mom wants her back, and Sara wants to deal with her like now. And Emily's like, "Oh, have you ever thought about getting emancipated?" Aria's at Hollis as Clark comes in.
She has like a month until she's 18. It's like a month or 2 months. Like they bring that up later. And I'm like,
why go through the paperwork now?
Yeah, does she have to? Or does her mom want her to go home right now, actually?
Right. Why?
Let's emancipate the high school senior.
Yeah. Oh, she's probably a June birthday like me. Aria's at Hollis as Clark comes. Fellow Cancer.
You and Shower Harvey are sharing birthdays.
That's right. Me and Sara. Well, you know, they flipped the script on it this time. Emily was taking the shower. I don't think she takes a shower across both these episodes, so Sarah's doing better.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And I do get that is like a trauma thing. Like I'm not trying to like laugh about that, but it's just the first couple episodes, it's like literally every 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. They're just really hammering it home. Oh, and so Aria's at Hollis as Clark comes into the photo lab. He asks for her to go with him to go to a junkyard for a photo shoot. She's like, "No, thanks, I'm busy." He's like, "Oh, your photo skills are great." And oh, did I mention there's this contest to get an internship for a place in LA? He goes to leave, and Aria's like, "Wait a minute, I'll go with you."
LA.
Yeah. What?
Far away?
Pretty much, yeah. Allie is sitting on her porch. Her dad grills her on hanging out outside. Allison tells him about the cops talking shit, and he's like, "You have to let it go. You have to own your bad behavior. Your bad behavior, and as a way of catching up to you." She says, "You would know." Mona and Hannah are at the brew, and Mona seems shaken. Leslie then comes in and is pissed at her because apparently her life is in ruins for defending Mona on the stand. Hannah defends Mona, and Leslie says she's being accused of perjury and tells Mona to stay away from her. Hannah complains to Spencer at school, and Spencer doesn't seem to be listening at all. And Hannah gets text from Mona, and Spencer tells her to stay out of her, you don't have to, help her stay out of her problems. She asks Hannah if Mona knows who Charles could be while she's eating her cookies, and Hannah's like, "Oh, can I have a little bite?" And Spencer's like, "No."
Smacks her hand away.
And Hannah's like, "Why are you acting all funny? That's so weird." And then, he's like, "You look like," essentially, he's like, "You look high as a kite." And Spencer's like, "No, I'm not."
Yeah, she's like, "Are you strung out?" And I'm like,
"Yeah." I didn't write it actually in my notes, and it probably won't come up later, but I did like this scene because Spencer is like, Hannah's like, "Who are you talking to on the phone?" And Spencer's like, "Toby, I miss him, if feeling all lovey-dovey, it's going to be a few days before he's back and we can have sex." And Hannah's like, "Ew, gross." "Well, I'm not getting any from Caleb." So it's just this scene where we don't get often where they just get to talk about sex and normal stuff like being horny.
Being
it's
teenagers.
Good. Yeah.
Or I guess, well, yeah, they're teenagers in this. I mean, 18-year-olds, but teenagers.
Exactly. They got, long-term boyfriends and all. It doesn't even matter. Kids are having sex anyway.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want as long as you're doing it safely and consensually.
There's the conservative coming out of me.
Get him back out. I don't want him.
Well, I mean, I don't see a ring on either of their fingers.
I got bad news about your life, baby. I mean, we are married now, but...
Well, actually, in true conservative style, it'd be like, "Well, that's fine for me."
Oh, okay, cool. Right. Cool. Yeah, you're right.
It's just for women,
Well, but were you doing it alone? Because I was there.
Other women. Actually, the true thing on that would then be, and I'm judging you for it.
Yes.
Aria and Clark are at the junkyard. Ooh, took in a dark turn. We're going to get on to the next one. Aria and Clark are at the junkyard. He takes her picture, and she gets upset about this. Fair. He then decides to ask her to dinner after this, and she's like, "I'm not dating for a while, given everything." Like the picture. He says, "No worries, I recognized you from the news. Didn't want to mention it, though. I'm sorry." And she's like, "It's okay." Lorenzo is at Allison's house discussing an overnight trip with the church, apparently, his offer to coach the girls' team, and she's hesitant to go. But he's really pushing her to go, and her dad comes in and he's like, "Oh, you're just swapping out cops now just because they insulted you." And she's like, "That's not what's happening."
He's like, "Oh, is this why you wanted a different cop at the gate? Because you wanted this one?"
Yeah, she wanted, wants to kiss Lorenzo. Lorenzo wants to know what happened, and he tells Lorenzo to leave. Sara and Emily meet with Caleb to discuss Sara emancipating. He's like, "It's really tough. You're almost 18. Just go home and wait it out." And Emily's like, "No, she's doing this." And Aria is setting up dolls to take pictures of when she sees a hooded figure that runs by, and she decides to follow after them alone. She goes into a shed, and a shelf falls over on her, and Clark comes running in asking what happened. She's like, "Nothing. It was my fault." Spencer goes to an NA meeting and grabs Brownie in the back. She finds that her old counselor, Dean, is there. She tries to sneak out, but gets called out for grabbing food and leaving, and then Dean turns around and smiles at her. Clark and Aria go to develop photos. Aria sees the hooded figure captured in the background of some of his photos. She leaves the room to call Emily and tell her that Clark might have a photo of A. She wants to tell Clark about A to ask to borrow the photos, and Emily's like, "No, you can't do that. What the hell? You can't be telling people about this. If anything comes out, it'll end up on Sara." They hang up, and Caleb asks if everything's okay, and Emily says yes. Caleb doesn't buy it, but moves on. He offers to hire Sara at his web design company to help her. Leslie and Hannah meet. Leslie says, "Sorry, I didn't mean to, blow up at you. You're not the person I'm angry at." Hannah's like, "Mona isn't the monster or the person you should be mad at." Leslie's like, "I don't know if Bradley made Mona worse." Hannah says Radley made a lot of people worse. It closed down but could still hold all the answers. Leslie says, I'd leave asking questions to the police. Aria distracts Clark and then steals his negatives. Dean drops Spencer off at her house. She confides in eating the weed cookies, and he says that you're an addict. So if you take something like that, then it's like backsliding. He tells her how strong she is and that she can call him anytime for help. She hands him her cookies to get rid of them. He drives away, and Spencer sees Mona dropping a letter off at the De Laurentiis'. She goes over and says, hey, and Mona's like, it's a card for Allison. Spencer asks if it's possible if another girl was trapped in the dollhouse, maybe like 11 or 12 years old, and mentions the bathtub room. Mona says, everyone got out, and I didn't see that room. It sounds terrifying. Spencer says, maybe it doesn't exist, but I felt like I've been there before. Mona says, it definitely sounds terrifying. Sara submits her paperwork with child services and got approved to stay with the Fields. She also then wants to get a tattoo to celebrate. Spencer and Hannah investigate the abandoned Radley. Mona couldn't come because her mom keeps a close eye on her. Spencer sees a poster on the wall for good health that has a picture of Maddie, the girl from her dreams. They round a corner and come into the bathtub room, and Spencer realizes that she mistook where she knew the room from. Spencer gets a tattoo on her back of a bird leaving a cage. She says Emily should get one next.
Not Spencer. Sara.
Did I say Spencer?
I thought you did. Maybe I misheard you.
Sara gets a so Sara gets a tattoo.
Yeah.
And then Emily.
I was like, I don't remember Spencer getting a tattoo. That's why I was like, but maybe I misheard you. Maybe I was still.
Oh no, that'd be funny if Spencer gets a tattoo. Sara tells Emily that she should get one. And Emily's like, oh no, I could never do that. And it's like, well, get one in a place your mom can never find. Emily eyes some Japanese katakana on the wall, as any good respecting American does, then asks the tattoo artist to get what it means. And it's like, courage. Hannah and Spencer look through the old files. Spencer finds one on C. De Laurentiis and sees that he's dead. There's a work order in there for transporting his organs. Hannah accidentally pushes files into one of the bathtubs that are filled with standing water and sees what looks like a leg. Spencer then fishes it out, much to Hannah's, yelling about this, and then finds a CPR doll, called Resuscita Annie. They hear a loud clang somewhere else. Aria looks at the negatives and finds a photo of the back of A. She sends a text to everybody that says, A is a girl. Allie meets with Lorenzo on her patio. She apologizes on behalf of her father, and Lorenzo says he's angry with himself for not protecting his own family. Says that Lorenzo got officers to trade shifts and that Allison will like the new officer. She's happy. He kisses her. And as they kiss, Mr. De Laurentiis pulls up. Emily gets a tattoo on her hip. Her phone is on a table as the texts come through for Aria, and Sara sees it and freaks out and leaves the room. Emily goes chasing after her, and Sara says she saw the text and she's seen a person in a black hoodie a couple times following them, and then there's loud noises on the street and Sara runs. Spencer continues to dig through the files, and Hannah wants to leave Radley. They hear the noise again, and Spencer goes to leave with her. Sara and Emily run into a dead end, and Sara says, you've been looking into who did this the whole time. Why didn't you tell me? Emily's like, we're getting closer to figuring it out. They see a shadow on the wall of a hooded figure, and they run. Spencer and Hannah hear the noise again and open a door to find Mona. Mona has a file, and Spencer takes it from her and finds that it's Leslie's. Mona's like, oh, she was a patient here and didn't want it to go public. Spencer's like, Leslie was here a long time ago, long enough to know both Mona and Charles. Allie gets a text from Hannah that there's been a breakthrough and they need to meet up. She goes to leave for Hannah's, and Mr. De Laurentiis goes to stop her and threatens her not to leave. Allison says, what are you going to do? Put me in the ground at Aunt Carol's? And he's like, huh? And she leaves. The friends discuss Leslie findings and that she was roommates with Bethany. Oh, they think Leslie is potentially the Charles figure. Mona said she was stealing the file to repair her friendship with Leslie. Spencer says, we don't know what happened with Bethany. Maybe it was a trial run before getting to Allison. That's kind of my theory. Mona calls Leslie to say the friends know. Leslie then yells at Mona and it's like, you always screw everything up. We see a hooded figure make a small wig on a tennis ball with pink highlights. The end.
Okay. Let's talk about Mona. This is really going to be a lot about Mona, I feel like.
Ooh, perfect.
Mona,
right up my alley.
Mona and Hannah's dynamic now. What's the vibe here? How are we feeling?
I like it, but Hannah, I like that they're much more comfortable with each other again. Mm-hmm. That they're actually friends, it seems like, or at least a little more friendly. Hannah's just more harsh in general. Mm-hmm. It's not this warm, open thing. But I'm very happy that they're at least on good terms, and it doesn't seem to be like too off. You know what I mean? And Hannah is like rightfully upset, like, oh, God damn it.
Yeah.
Why are you hiding things from me again?
What do we think about the Leslie being mad at Mona, the Mona stealing the file? What's going on with Mona and Leslie?
I assume. Yeah, so so first of all, friends from Radley. That's how they met. And Leslie knows, I think, more than she's letting on, which is how Mona probably got like some background information, maybe on like Allison or something, maybe on through Bethany. I think that would maybe be the chain there of like how they get info was from Bethany, because I don't think Mona would have gotten info on Charles.
So is Leslie involved with it?
Well, no, I don't think so. I think Leslie is just a person that happened to be around at that time. Let's see. So I'm actually backtracking a little. Because Mona didn't know who Charles was before being taken to the dollhouse, essentially. She just knew it was A.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know the name or anything.
No.
Yeah, okay. So I would think that it's probably just a shared bonding or like information around like Allison or something. And they like helped each other out and did become close friends, or not, at least partners or something, like co-conspirators within Radley. That'd just be my guess.
Okay.
And it seems like...
What's Leslie's motive for not liking Allison, though?
It's something related to Bethany.
Okay.
And Bethany's past and stuff related to the De Laurentiis, because that seems to be very on the money.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't thought about it before, but maybe Bethany's connected to Charles. I don't know.
But Leslie's not?
No. I think all of Leslie's information is secondhand from
Bethany.
And so maybe Bethany's thinking that the De Laurentiis are awful is secondhand from Charles. Is from having a closer relationship with Charles.
Okay.
And then Charles betrays that trust.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's at least my hint. I just don't think Leslie's important enough to have some sort of role as like an A conspirator.
Okay. Speaking of A conspirators, what about Clark then? Is he A adjacent? Is he just simply a love interest for Aria? Because
I think he's nice. I think he's a nice boy.
He's just telling us about the art competition.
Exactly. I'll believe only good things about him, and until proven wrong here. But yeah, I think Clark seems nice. I'm rooting for Clark to not be some secret sinister.
That'd be nice.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? It could be like Emily's in the next episode. Emily's charity friend,
Nicole.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they're just a nice person.
Yeah, but then Nicole was talking to Ezra. We'll talk about that in the next episode.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Spencer and the drugs. Maybe it's because I don't have an addiction. I don't know. But doesn't she casually drink with her friends? So is alcohol okay, but weed isn't? Or have they not drank since Spencer did her drug thing?
Has there been any drinking scene? I don't think there's been any drinking scenes.
Since Emily got blacked out and dug up the
They
grave?
really don't. Has that ever happened to you?
No.
I don't think there's really very many drinking scenes. So there might not have been.
Yeah, it was Hannah and Caleb, I guess, that were drinking.
Getting drunk in the cabin. Oh, God. Do you think that cabin must have smelled? Especially when Caleb's just living there by himself. And like before he like cleans up his act.
Before he gets his cardigans.
Exactly. Oh, that must have been the smelliest cabin. I don't think she's like we've seen Spencer drinking.
Okay. I was just curious. I just couldn't remember.
But there is it seems like the double standard of drinking versus
also
smoking and stuff.
Abusing prescription drugs versus like not being able to sleep. Like it's really interesting like the way they're playing with this, because I do think obviously that like the most helpful thing after trauma is probably having a really good therapist. And then like, but there's also like medications that help, and like being able to access those and have them given to you in a way that, I don't know, there's just a lot of that I'm like, this isn't quite doing anything.
No, and maybe, I mean, this is coming out in 2015, so it's like, I feel like we were already taking the turn on like, I mean, I know this is like East Coast and like Pennsylvania and things haven't become legalized yet, but like we're like, pot is not like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand for addiction and Narcotics Anonymous that it all gets lumped in together, and you're not supposed to do that. But so that gets a little hairy. But for it to be like this kind of like big thing again with Spencer,
it's just like it's an already used plot line. Mm-hmm. And it's not more riveting the second time around.
No,
it's not like Jason occasionally disappearing because he's like back on the sauce.
Okay, now that Jason disappearing and reappearing, you know you're getting some juice out of this.
Exactly. But with Spencer, we're not getting that from this. It's just like, now we have this, because Toby wasn't here for a couple episodes, we had to bring in her old sober coach so he could creepily hit on her and abuse his position like a predator.
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't like that. The Dean stuff I don't like. I was going to ask you about the Dean stuff, but I voiced my opinion.
Right. And we get the finale of that in the next episode anyway. Yeah, you know, you just kind of get more moralizing from everybody, and Hannah being like, you look like that one person that smoked pot in my class. And I understand there's the part where she's hiding it, and that's not good. So, but it's also like, maybe just we talked about it, I think, last time, where it's like, why is it
a big deal?
It should make, yeah, exactly. And she should be able to have something because she's going through trauma.
Yeah, she should have something to help her sleep.
Yeah. Even if it's controlled by her parents.
Exactly. Let's talk about Ali and Lorenzo. Thoughts, feeling, vibes? You kind of wish it was Toby?
Oh.
With Lorenzo.
I was like, I don't want Toby and Allison. Yes. What is Lorenzo doing stepping out on Toby like this? Toby's out of town. I just don't like it. I don't know. There's this. I don't know. I don't like them together.
I don't like the idea of like the church bringing them together because like religious trauma. Like, to me, I'm like, ooh, it's a bad place to make friends. Like,
and it's like this whole.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're gonna be good people together because we're part of the church. And it's like, can't Allison just try to be a good person without like the risk of her eternal damnation hanging over her?
Right.
Because she had the dream about going to hell or whatever. So is that why she got scared into church?
Without having to be like, get God involved and all that. Yeah, and that's like, has to say a certain thing about like, wow, look at her turning over a new leaf. She's a good Christian woman now. Yeah. It doesn't do it for me.
I want shades of old Allie back.
Yeah, she was much more interesting. I don't care about this one. I just like that the cops are openly talking shit about her right from her house.
Also, and that her father doesn't believe her. That was the other thing I was going to ask you. Why would her father not believe her?
He 0 to 60, because there's the, being it's easy. You watch the whole show and you'd be like, yeah, Allison's bad news, but then you're like, wait, but she's like been through some shit. Because she could have been the one in that dollhouse. Mm-hmm. And then her dad's over here being like, well, tough shit.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's bananas. It's such a reversal. There's no reason for him to be so mean now.
No.
He should have been mean a while ago.
Because she's asking about Charles. That's my only take on that.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb's running a wayward home for lost girls. That's kind of like how it feels. Like every time someone's like, oh no, and then Caleb fixes it. Should he be hiring Sara? Does it matter?
I don't think it matters. He's kind of
Does the job she's had for 2 minutes matter on her application?
Right. Wouldn't it immediately see? I guess
maybe they backdated it. But yeah, I guess.
No, at least on the emancipation paperwork, it's like, oh, you're holding out a job where you can be on your own.
Yeah, you can afford to take care of yourself is the whole purpose.
Yeah. But it is funny. It is like Caleb is taking in girls and then giving them life skills to like do things on their own.
Yeah, with him teaching Aria how to hack or whatever. And...
Oh, right. That doesn't come back up.
No.
I want to see Aria surrounded by like 3-4 screens, clacking away at a keyboard in the next few episodes.
I wonder if that was another Aria's A evidence piece. Like, but wouldn't she have already known how, I guess, at that point?
Right.
Anyway,
Did we ever get like Aria hacker?
I don't remember.
Oh,
I don't think so.
that's bad news then.
I don't want to say
should've done
no,
that.
but
Instead of photographer, she's just getting really into hacking. That would have been great. I mean, I like her creepy photography stuff right now. I think that's good. But I mean, how much more fun? She's like staying up all night on like Reddit, like, you know, lurking
drinking
in
coffee
weird...
and watching videos on how to get into hack into.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? It's right around this time. She hooks up with Anonymous. It's another A, and she's like, "I'm getting into the mind of A."
Oh my gosh.
We're sticking it to the man, and people are like, "Whoa, you're getting dangerously off track here."
She's gone Joe Rogan on us, baby. I think. Bring her back.
She's getting into the mind, you know. I like this.
Brenton's fan fiction will be up on AO3 later.
Exactly. Aria, Anonymous, and they have the capital A's. It rhymes.
Let's talk about the tattoos and Sarah Harvey.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Important things.
How is she getting a tattoo
If she's not 18.
and she's not emancipated yet?
Boy, and you're gonna trust this person that's not checking your ID before you get this tattoo to tell you what the Japanese lettering says?
Should the girls be telling Sarah anything, or should they be hiding it from her? Do you trust Sarah?
I'm of two minds because it seems very suspicious. I feel like they're having her do things that seem suspicious, but I'm like, is that just trying to give us a red herring? I don't really want Sarah Harvey to be working against them, but I can see that happening. So
anyone Emily kisses. That's not true, I guess. Maya.
Let's see. Maya was fine, much to egg on my face. Let's see. I feel like most of the people she kissed, she's doing all right.
Lyndon. Was it Lyndon James?
Oh yeah, Lyndon James, right. I had forgotten about him.
Didn't he kiss her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he kissed her. Oh wait, no, she kisses back. She kisses back. So just the guy. And she's like, well, I'm not kissing guys ever again.
I don't blame her.
Well, she kissed Allison, and that's a little suspect.
That's true. She did kiss Allison, and Allison is duplicitous at best.
At best.
All right, then that covers my what do you think of Emily and Sarah. Are you ready to move to the next episode?
Yeah.
I almost said chapter.
Oh, I like that. Well, the next chapter of our story is Season 6, Episode 6, Episode 126, No Stone Unturned. I like this episode numbering. 6 is my favorite number, so.
And 26, you like the 6s and the 2 6? Yeah.
I do. Here's a little fun fact for you. Emily and Spencer discuss Leslie potentially being Charles. Emily says, do you
You're very
really...
cute.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You are too.
Thank you. I'm not the one sharing my favorite number today. I'll save that for another episode.
I like 6.
It's like when you go to a preschool class.
They just walk up to you.
Kids tell you, I got a red truck and my favorite number is 6 and I played baseball last night. And you're like, okay.
All right. Cool. Okay, Brenton, go back out and play.
Do you need to go potty, honey? What's wrong?
Okay, so Emily and Spencer discuss Leslie potentially being Charles. Emily says, do you really believe that Leslie would have created an entire bunker? Spencer's like, yes. And
Spencer's like anybody.
She's like, she has a motive. She thinks we killed Bethany. Good. Spencer, go ahead. Yeah, Spencer just needs someone to point at. Hannah comes in and says Mona's on lockdown at home for sneaking out to Radley. Emily says she can't help... she can't really think that she can't help tonight with trapping Leslie because I have to go to therapy. It was with her mom. I had wrote down with her mom. Hannah says, how are we going to trap A? Mr. De Laurentiis leaves his house and finds a birthday card on his windshield. He reads it and looks disturbed, but we don't see what's inside. Emily bikes by and he stops her and rants like a crazy person, asking if she saw who put the card there, and she's like, no. Aria puts Clark's negatives back on the shelf and he catches her. He's like, it's okay if you're uncomfortable with me taking photos of you. You should have just said so, and I'll get rid of those. He asks her to breakfast and she's like, no. Leaves. Hannah tracks down Leslie and she's finds out that she's a TA at her college. Caleb comes over, notices a bump on the back of her head, and she shrugs him off. The only reason I wrote this down is because you were like, oh, isn't that interesting? Like the bump. And I was like, huh?
Yeah, I was like, what do you think is under the bump? And you were like, nothing. And I was like,
I didn't read into this at all.
It's one of the only things when I watched the show for the first time that I got immediately. I was like, oh, that's where the trackers are.
Yeah. And
because you knew A was tracking them.
I was just like, they're phones. What a fool I was. Hannah goes to leave and tells her mom that she's taking Spencer to an appointment in Philadelphia. She tells Caleb she'll talk to him later. Sarah asks what to wear to her first day at Caleb's office. Emily's like, you'll do great on your first day. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just Caleb. Sarah goes to change, and Emily gets nervous seeing her change in her tattoo. Oh, my goodness. Emily rubs ointment on her tattoo and gets uncomfortable. Spencer is surprised by Dean knocking on her door. He's there to drop off a book that his sponsor had given him and some regular brownies. Spencer gets a text from Melissa that's also encouraging her to speak at graduation. She confides to him about not wanting to be the poster child for trauma like at her school, and he's like, well, just don't do the speech then. Fair enough, Dean. Hannah is following Leslie and sees her arrive at her faculty lunch at a restaurant downtown. She's on the phone with Spencer and tells her to hurry up and get down here. Caleb teaches Sarah the basics of a CMS and makes a reference to Kimye. She doesn't know what that means, and he apologizes because, she was in a bunker. She doesn't get the most up-to-date pop culture. Sarah asks about Allison and wants to know about her since she was forced to pretend to be her. She asks Caleb if Allison would know who did this to her. Caleb's like, I don't know, and I wish I knew, but unfortunately I'm in the dark as well. Hannah goes to the valet and tries to get Leslie's keys. She eventually kind of gets him to bring around the car, by seducing him a little bit. Spencer calls and is shocked that Hannah is stealing a car. Fitz is working at the brew as Emily's friend Nicole, that she worked with in Haiti, comes in asking for her. Fitz offers to help her out, and Nicole has been in India, so didn't hear about anything that happened to Emily. Aria and Emily search the junkyard for clues. Aria picks up on Emily being interested in Sarah. They see Clark, and Aria offers an excuse to him why they're there. Emily says, oh, my friend Nicole is at the brew. I need to get down there. And Clark's like, oh, I can always just give Aria a ride home later. And Emily's like, oh, okay. And Aria's like, fine. Hannah and Spencer search Leslie's car, and Spencer picks up on Hannah being annoyed with Caleb. Hannah discusses how oppressive Caleb's been, so she's back. Hannah finds a whole drawer of the same glasses that Leslie wears, and they find out that there's no prescription in the lenses. They open up the trunk and find 4 cages, big enough for people. I'm assuming animal shelter. Clark asks if Aria burned his negatives, and Aria says no and hopes that everything to do with A will end soon. Clark notices they are near. That's separate thoughts. I put those together. She's like, no, I didn't burn the negatives, and all this stuff with A being out and stuff. I would hope this all ends soon. Clark notices they're near where they were the other day. They split up to look for Aria's tripod, which is her excuse for being here, that she had forgotten her tripod. Aria then finds a blonde doll and finds when you pull up on the dress, it changes to a doll with colored highlights wig that we saw at the end of last episode and a knife in the doll's eye. I don't know how this transition worked, but I was like, damn.
What do you mean?
It's just the doll sitting there, and then it changed to have the knife in there.
She flipped it.
Oh, so it's upside down.
Yeah, so you flip the doll and you flip the skirt, and then it's got a different head. So under the skirt, you can have 2 different dolls.
Got it. That's
and
wild.
So they made the Aria doll underneath.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I pay attention sometimes.
Emily arrives back at the brew and finds Fitz that told Nicole about a recent kidnapping. Nicole offers her an 8-month trip to Thailand for a similar project like Haiti. Emily tells her all about all the stuff going on in her life. Nicole says, sorry for adding it onto your plate, but you really seem to be happy when you help people. So, but no worries. There's other trips. And Emily's like, actually, I'm in. Can I bring a friend? Spencer goes to see Caleb to get a copy of Leslie's key to the lab that she TAs for and has an awkward conversation with Sara. Spencer confides about the school asking her to speak, and Sara says, if I had the opportunity, I'd want everyone to hear what happened to me. Caleb is at the brew and picks up a coffee table book entitled When Love Goes Toxic. Ashley then sees him and tells him, it's not your fault. Like, you don't need a book. It's not your responsibility to make Hannah talk about what happened to her. Caleb's like, I'm not trying to smother her. And Ashley's like, I'm sure on some level she knows that too. You just need to treat her normally. Aria freaks out about the doll on the phone to Emily. Fitz arrives at her door and says, you left your application for the photo competition at the brew, and I saw you needed a recommendation, so I wrote you one, which, was so presumptuous of me. Aria is happy about this, though. He notices the doll in her purse and is freaked out by it. Aria's like, I made that for my photos. Spencer arrives home and finds Dean there. He's mad she didn't show up to the NA meeting and was worried sick about her that something might have happened. I was like, I'm sorry. Do you want to go get coffee? Do you want to come in and have some coffee? And he's like, I can't see you anymore, and professes his feelings. Even tries to kiss her, and she's like, no. And then he leaves. Hannah gets ready.
So weird.
It's really weird.
It's so weird. It's so pointless.
Yeah, we didn't need this. Hannah gets ready to leave as Caleb comes in. They argue about him barging in. And they have like a real argument again. And then he kisses her, and she's like, finally. And they hook
You're
up.
Treating me like a person.
Mm-hmm. Emily comes home and finds Sara has a wound on her head and is cleaning up a spot on the carpet. Sara was walking home and a car started following her and then clipped her.
I think she was biking.
Oh, biking home.
I'm not 100%, but...
Emily shows her a picture of Leslie's car and is like, is that the car? And Sarah's like, I think so. Emily mentions leaving the country with Nicole. Sarah's like, I can't. And like, no one can help me. And Emily's like, no, I can. The other three friends go to the lab Leslie works at, which does experiments on animals. There's a bunch of animals in cages. Aria confides about how hard it is to keep things from Fitz. Hannah walks by a metal detector and it makes a noise. And Spencer realizes that it's from a microchip in the back of their neck. Quote unquote, bitch microchipped us. Spencer says, we need something to give to the police. Let's check this lab. Not the microchips in your neck? Hannah asks why we can't hand over our heads. Thank you very much. Emily goes to see Nicole and tells her she can't go because she can't leave her friend behind. Emily says it feels like sometimes she's helping me more than I'm helping her. Nicole's like, oh, are you capable? Is she like capable of returning your feelings? And Emily's like, what? No, it's not like that. Hannah looks through a lab of caged animals and has a flashback to the dollhouse. She starts letting out all the animals, and Spencer tries to stop her from releasing all of them. And Hannah's like, no, they must be free like me. A raccoon gets out, and they're trying not to have it attack them. Aria then comes in with a printed invoice, but before she can say what's on it, they see the raccoon, and she freaks out. They distract the raccoon when the lights go out, and Mona comes in asking if they're all crazy. They grill Mona on protecting Leslie, and Mona's like, Leslie hated Bethany. She's not Charles. She's just pretending to be stable. Leslie only heard...
Vibes, me too, Leslie. Aren't we all?
Aren't we all, Leslie?
Relatable journey.
Mm-hmm.
I did not commit any crimes. I got myself involved in something I didn't want to be involved in. But don't worry. Allison's lawyer never looked into me, so no one knew I was in Radley.
Bananas. This is a why. Like, really?
And now I just want people to believe I'm stable.
Yeah.
Same.
It would take like 2 seconds to find that. Worst representation. Leslie only heard Charles's name once the night Bethany snuck out. Aria says, that's when Allison disappeared. He was dead by then.
Thank you, Aria.
Thank you so much.
It was a busy night forever. I wonder if it was a full moon.
Oh, I bet it was. We haven't paid attention to that. Mona says Radley went on lockdown looking for 2 patients that night. Oh, 2 patients. Interesting. Only Bethany snuck out. Spencer shows her the organ donation form. And then Mona's like, that's a total sham. Charles was on so many drugs, his liver wouldn't be wanted. Spencer says they caught A in a photo and that Charles is a girl. And Mona's like, if you caught A in a photo, they wanted their picture to be taken. Mr. G. Lawrence is on the phone in his car, seemingly talking about Charles. He crosses off a name on a list. He has like a long, like on a legal pad with a bunch of list of, it looks like doctors because they have like MDs after their names. Hannah catches Emily up on the chip and the Leslie misdirect. We see Spencer at the NA meeting, and there's an empty seat where Dean would sit. Aria visits the brew and sees Fitz talking to Nicole and turns away. Emily comes into her room and sees Sara sleeping and checks her neck for a chip. Sara wakes up and they kiss each other. Mr. De Laurentiis digs up Charles's grave at Aunt Carol's. We see the card he got. Which written inside says "Dead, Dear Daddy," and it's autocorrected to "dead." Or no, it's not autocorrected. That's my own fault. I was typing on a keyboard. Dear Daddy, coming home for my birthday. You should plan a party to die for. Just you, love, Charles. See a gloved hand watching him from the woods. The end.
Okay. Why is Sara asking Caleb about Allison?
Yeah, see, this is the part where it's like suspicious. I want to take her at her word because I just do not want the alternative of her being like still Charles's gopher, or not Charles's gopher, but like I just don't want to have to unpack a whole thing if she's like still working for Charles and it's like a Stockholm syndrome sort of thing or something.
Mm-hmm.
But if it comes up, then we will. So I hope it's not that. I hope it is literally just I don't know who this is and who all this big fuss is about. It's all about her. Why?
Okay.
Which is fair enough, but I just hope it's not the alternative.
Did Leslie actually hit Sara with the car?
No. This stuff starts piling up. It's like, what was she actually doing? I don't think she was actually run over by Leslie, because then she looks at the car for like 2 seconds and is like, I think that was it. I don't think so. Again, I think the cages are very easily explained. And I can also see that the glasses that she has is very easily explained by like, that was a very specific style.
She wants to look smart.
Yeah. Listen, in 2010, I think I had a pair of like fake glasses.
Emily and Sara, let's talk about it. Vibes, thoughts.
It's hard for me to enjoy it because it is so much of like Emily's like, I'm taking care of her and I feel so happy that that this person wants me and I get to take care of them and I get to be in control because of this person isn't in control and they're all leaning on me, so I don't have to do my own internal rationale and stuff. So I can't get excited about it on that level because it's obviously spinning in a direction where Emily doesn't have to address her own trauma, and that's gonna come back up and around. And Sara is so she needs so much like help from Emily at this point that it's that it makes it's not like a fun ship because she is so much like she's so damaged.
Mm-hmm.
So
why is Dean lingering around Spencer like a fucking predator?
I mean, I guess Spencer needs another one. Someone gonna hook up and try and kiss Dean down the road. Yeah, I don't know why we have this back in.
I don't know why this was a plotline either. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It shouldn't have been. I'm fine with having Dean come back and she's starting to like go to these NA meetings and he like grills on her. But like, why does he have to be? Couldn't it have been
like a fun big brother relationship?
Yeah, and if she could have just been like, I don't want you to be my
my
sponsor because of like how you're behaving.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know why he has to try and kiss her.
Yeah, it's creepy. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts that in a negative light, which I don't like because I think programs like that are very important.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I think any program that works for people, I don't think that's the only solution, but any program that works for people is important, and not making the members look like creeps is probably ideal.
Yeah.
Especially because he was like a sober coach. So like, he's like more established in that community and like has been doing this for a while.
Right. And I understand why he would freak out by not hearing from her.
Yes.
Things are off but then it's all
I've been doing the scare her of the like, usually when someone doesn't answer it, in my world, that means they're dead. Like, I'm like, okay, that's impactful.
Yeah.
Like,
but
good information. But then to try to kiss her?
Yeah. No one's, yeah. No. I guess just, but we don't need more reminders of like everybody's interested in these girls.
Yeah.
And that even people in like some sort of offhanded power situation here can still be inappropriate.
Do Mona and Sara have microchips? Actually, we know Sara doesn't because when we looked at the board, we only saw Emily.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like Mona does either. So it just seems like the 4. Well,
Mona wasn't in town when that happened. She was at the spa, remember?
right. But I think does Mona? I might have missed writing it down, but I'm starting to remember that Mona remembered seeing them on the gurneys after this.
Well, because they were. You remember Mona brought them the Tylenol. I think it was when they were gassed.
Right. So then I don't think Mona was, because I think it's the 4. It's the 5 that count. Everybody else doesn't. Yeah. I think it's just the close friends of Allison and Allison count.
How did they not feel their microchips healing?
Especially like this
in the back of your neck,
since it seemed to be so raised.
What do we think about Nicole and Ezra?
They seem like they're having a very nice conversation. I don't think anything's gonna happen. I just don't think Nicole's gonna be sticking around. This pivotal character, Nicole, that everybody remembers from season 3. Season 3 is the last time we saw her. Yeah.
I'm really
okay. That face means that she's sticking around.
It's another plot line that you like. You might be able to actually come up with this one. Like it's. I don't know if you could come up with like the entirety of how it fits into the show, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But like, I think when it happens, you'll be like, oh.
Interesting.
Oh.
At least I think for now,
the show has officially jumped the shark. Just so you know, like.
Oh, I have no doubt that the dollhouse is a shift for the entire show for the rest of it. Yeah.
And you'd think they would make it like cooler and darker after that, but instead we learned nothing from Ravenswood.
Interesting. I was thinking about Ravenswood today. I was listening to Just King Things, great podcast, and thinking about Mick Garris, who directed, I think, episode 6, and just being like, Ravenswood had so much promise at the beginning.
And at the end, but that middle lacked direction.
Yeah, just boring. Unfortunately.
Okay, so.
Oh wait, we're talking about Nicole.
Yeah.
Yeah. God. I mean, it just seems like right now that it's gonna be. I don't know. Maybe they can't end up together. It'll be like a short fling, if anything.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be like Aria's like, no, go ahead and date her. We're not dating or anything, and then she'll be with Clark, and then they'll end up together. It's gonna be something like that.
Okay.
It's gonna be like they're like him being like, I don't know why you're so upset. Like, we're not dating. She's like, yeah, we're not dating, are we?
Okay. Cool.
Okay, this is gonna. I take the laughter that this is going in a very different direction.
I mean, that might happen. I don't really remember. I just remember where it goes. Like.
Okay.
I don't remember the stops the train makes. I remember where the train leaves the station and where it lands.
Interesting.
Aria and Clark, we still feeling good about that?
Clark seems like a nice guy, but I don't think Aria is in the least bit interested in him. It's so funny.
Oh, I meant like as a character, you feel good about him.
Oh yeah. But it's just funny that Clark each time is just like, sorry, took a picture of you. You want to go on a date?
And she's like, the last guy I said yes to dating to, did try to put me in a dollhouse.
little weird. Yeah, and my longtime ex, well, he was writing a book about me. I didn't know about it. So at least you're taking pictures and I know about it.
Mm-hmm. Mr. D digging up Charles's grave. What do we think he's gonna find?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I was telling you, Hannah should have dug up the grave. They should have let Hannah go ham and dig up the grave. But no, we were robbed. So now not Charles. Jesus Christ. Mr. De Laurentiis is going to find an empty grave.
All right. That's it. That's all I have for you. What are your theories?
We got a theory corner coming up. Up. New sounds for theory corner, apparently.
Oh, he brought out the special effects budget.
Wow, where's he getting all these sound effects from? All right, let's step into.
That's what happens when we do this at nighttime.
Seriously.
Welcome to bedtime with Brenton and Emily.
It's not even picking up on the mic.
You can't even do the ASMR. Hello, welcome to Theory Corner. Did it pick up for me?
It did.
Oh,
You did it at a correct volume. need a brush. Then as I tell you, I know who it is. I don't know why. So like I don't know any of these things, but unfortunately that does tie me down a little bit. But I think I've got at least some options here for Theory Corner that we can kind of outline and go through. And least to say, I'm not looking forward to the reveal, but we'll see what happens. So some options for Charles here. This is kind of like my main thing that I've been like thinking about back and forth. That as of right now, what could potentially be Charles? So
who? How? Why? Are those the words you're looking for?
No, so it's like there's 3 different options of like what could be going on with Charles right now.
Oh, going on. I thought you said what could be Charles right now.
Yeah, I did say what could be
and
Charles
I was
right
like, that's not how that word works.
No. What Charles? So it could be that Charles is in fact A is a collaborator of A. Or sorry. So sorry. Let me start from the top. It could be that someone took on Charles's name. The second one, Charles could be a collaborator of A. Third, Charles is trans. So thinking of the collaborator thing, because this is all kind of going off of that they got the picture where someone in a hoodie is in the back of Clark's frame, and they think that this must be A. Circumstantial at best. But the show's really pushing us on this. So if their new revelation is that Charles is like a girl or like feminine, if there's
or just wore a bra in one photo.
Right.
I remember like because Mona makes a comment where she's like, oh, if you got a photo of A wanted you to get the or Charles,
right.
Whatever. And so it's like, oh yeah, that could have been fucking anyone. That could be Jenna.
It could just be someone that just happened to be there. But the show's really pushing it. So like I feel like it's trying to point everybody in a direction. And so but to that point of it could be anybody, that could be like a collaborator of Charles. Like that doesn't actually have to be Charles. I
like that it's a collaborator, not like a co-conspirator. Like,
yeah, collaborator.
He's using synergy.
Colleague.
We're gonna synergize as a group.
That's right.
I love going to A-team meetings. I don't know about you.
I don't really like our office. It's very sterile.
I don't really like the uniform.
It's so comfy though.
Anyway, sorry.
Everybody gets hoodies on their. It's just like a tech company.
It's just like a tech company.
Everybody gets a hoodie on the way in.
You don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Nobody really kind of knows. It's like
what the company actually does.
Exactly. It's like they're like disrupting something.
These girls' lives.
Yep, really true. A Industries. Collaborator. That's what I'm going with. C, collaborator. I remember in the like breakout of the dollhouse, you kind of see that there's like 2 separate people where there's like the person that was behind the glass. There could potentially be 2 separate people. There was like the person that was behind the glass when they pulled away the rug.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looked like there was also a person at the same time in the control room that's potentially a way I could think of, like, that there's another person working there.
We don't really know the timelines on all of those, but yeah.
Exactly. Like, it could just be that it's the same person that's just like ran there, ran back, ran there, ran back.
Yeah, I don't think they were actually very far away from each other.
No. So, but just a potential way that could have gone. So it could be a collaborator there. It could be that someone took on Charles's name, that this was someone that was also at Radley, that was maybe close with him. I think, like, that's maybe where, I mean, I don't think it's actually Bethany, but, like, I do think that there is something that it could be similar of, like, my theory around Bethany that I'll speak to in a sec of, that was, like, close with Charles, that happened to be. And so they were, like, taking on his name to go and get back against the people he felt that, like, specifically grieved him, like Allison, that had essentially robbed him of his childhood and his life. And so they're kind of taking on his cause. Kind of like, well, spoilers for Saw series. Kind of like the person that takes on Jigsaw after Jigsaw. If we're going directly. Yeah, so I don't watch the Saw movies, but I read the Wikipedia entries, and the story is fascinating.
Okay, yeah. Save that for a rainy day.
Because there's, like, twists of, like, oh, he's actually dead, and, like, oh, he's, like, sick, and then there's a new Jigsaw, and, like, took on there.
Got it.
Who's the new Jigsaw? And then finally, like, this could be, like, the bottom of the barrel is that Charles is in fact, like, a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And you obviously, was male at birth, but is now a woman, if we are going by the blurry picture and everything, which is its whole can of worms.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at best what you can say about it is a misguided attempt to, like, really try and pull the wool over everybody's eyes, if that is the thing. Because, like, wow, you wouldn't suspect one of the, like, women characters on the show. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But so my theory around Bethany, I'm pulling up my notes, making sure I got this right.
Oh, he wrote notes for Theory Corner.
I did, because I want to make sure that I, like, got this out, like, correctly without, like, tipping my hand or anything on knowing something. I wanted to make sure I actually had things to cover on Theory Corner.
That's so prepared of you.
Yes.
So proud of you.
So I think that on that night, I think that Bethany was potentially close with Charles and got him out. And I think Bethany was also a way of being a scapegoat, or like a like there's a potential way, like, on that night killing Bethany was like a distraction to then take Allison. So, like, if Bethany is taking the place of Allison, as that's who people they think, like, Allison was, like, captured or murdered or something in the backyard there. That when Charles took Allison to go back to, say, the dollhouse, that there would be enough of a distraction for them not to know that Allison was missing for a set amount of time. Like how they thought Bethany's body was Allison's body and it ended up being Bethany. But instead of Allison going free, Charles would have taken Bethany back. So I think that's what that was supposed to be for. But then Melissa threw that off. or not Melissa throwing that off.
Whoever hit Bethany on the back of the head, because then Melissa buries her alive.
Right. Or I think Charles hits Bethany on the back of the head.
Okay.
But then I think Allison getting away is not part of the thing. Yeah.
So you think Charles had the dollhouse from the very beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least not maybe that version, but was planning on, like, capturing,
the concept.
Capturing and using Allison like a
There's
doll.
been a lot of doll metaphor from the very beginning, so it makes sense. Mona played with dolls and of the girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
how does Mona fit into the Charles scenario?
I think Mona is just sticking in her nose where it doesn't belong.
So when Mona was A, that had nothing to do with Charles. So the A that was bothering Allison, was that Charles or was that Mona?
Oh, so we're talking about, so Allison before she disappears.
Mm-hmm.
That was Charles.
And
then Mona does A to then her specific thing of, like, harassing the girls. Mm-hmm. Which is then complicated because I don't know how much the show really cares about that scene, even though they set it up of, like, I did everything you told me to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Mona's is because Mona doesn't know who Charles is. I guess they could have visited Mona as not Charles.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know how much we've never come back around on that.
Mm-hmm.
So my gut says that Mona was doing it completely separate, and that Charles took on the A name when Charles, I guess, was the person messaging Allison A. I don't think they ever signed it as A, right?
I don't remember.
I think it was just someone threatening her. And so I think maybe Charles then uses the A name
Takes the
after
alias.
because it's like, oh, I saw Mona doing this.
I learned it from watching you.
Yeah, totally. Completely.
Okay, sorry. I just, wanted to hear your plot line that's probably going to make more sense than the one we get.
Oh, well, that's interesting. I think that's everything for that. And I did briefly wrap back around on like the dollhouse imagery and stuff. I had mentioned this to you after I was listening to Get the Podcast Right. Shelf by Genre, they were talking about Ursi, and talking about in Tombs of Atuan, the way that the main character in that, I won't get into the whole thing, but there's like essentially like a labyrinth under there that she is like the princess of. It's like this dark labyrinth. And so the way she explores it, it reminded Cameron, one of the hosts, of like playing with the doll, like gendered like girl play, like doll play was younger, which is like using dolls and dollhouses as a way that little girls are able to express like control and autonomy over something when their lives are more scrutinized and more governed. And so they have like in a world where little girls have like less control over their surroundings and things, the dollhouse and the dolls are a way of doing that. So like Charles doing this is a way of perverting that, because the thing that it goes even farther back than from what you were saying of like their rooms, like taking that away from them, but like even going back to their childhood of like the ways they express their autonomy is being taken away from them and perverted, where they are now being controlled. So put a pin in that on what that eventually means for A's motivation.
All right.
I thought I was like, oh, this is exactly like that.
That's beautifully in depth.
So thank you very much.
My little Pretty Little Liars scholar.
Me.
All right.
All right. That's it for Theory Corner. We'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Thank you. Good job to you.
Thank you.
You did great out there.
Thank you. All I did was ask questions. Some of which I already know the answers to. Some of which I don't remember the answers to. And some of which,
Just, you're just waiting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Few more episodes.
Yeah. The next episode does have a scene that I've been waiting for a long time.
Okay. Hey, get excited. At least there's that.
Yeah. I mean, is it good? It's debatable. We'll discuss next week.
Well, but at least there's something to get
Do
excited.
I remember it and it gives me the giggles? Yes.
Oh, I mean, that's a very specific. If it's giving you the giggles, well, that really only kind of gives one connotation now, doesn't it?
I don't know. Maybe it was just a fun scene.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Well, anything else then?
Nope.
You can find this podcast on all your audio podcast platforms of choice at Dead Ends. You can also find this on YouTube at dead_ends. You can also send us emails, questions, things at deadendspcast@gmail.com. You can find that email address in all the description boxes of the episodes below. And then if you just want to ask us questions, comments, and things, you can drop it on the video on YouTube. We love seeing them.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, we don't do advertising and things, so, word of mouth helps. Tell your friends, interested in the podcast, and also give us 5 stars. I've heard that helps.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. We're still here. Wait, whoop, that didn't come up. We're gonna find out everything.
Okay, love you. Bye. You having a hard time there?
I'm just having a hard time with the microphone in the gate.
Oh.
Goodbye.
Bye.